All right, welcome everybody to this episode of Prodigy's Simply Fit podcast. I am with Dr. Jen Milus of Milus Chiropractic. She and her daughter Alexa own Milus Chiropractic, and they are actually located inside of Prodigy. I think August of 2020, they became kind of a new welcomed tenant of ours, and it's been great addition to the family in terms of being able to refer clients to them if they've got little aches and pains, things like that. But not only is Dr. Jen a chiropractor, she's also a certified strength and conditioning specialist, which is a certification that I hold as well. So it's one of the highest certifications in the kind of health and fitness industry. So Dr. Jen's not your typical chiropractor. And so I wanted to kind of bring her on to talk about chiropractic care, talk about health and wellness, and how you can incorporate chiropractic care into a well-rounded approach. So Dr. Jen, thank you for joining me. If you don't mind, giving 5, seconds or so, maybe even a little bit longer than that, about who you are, kind of your background in chiropractic and things like that.
Okay. Well, I graduated from college back east in 1988 and came out here to go to graduate school and went to Palmer College of Chiropractic West. Graduated in 1993, and I've been in practice ever since. 19 years in private practice in Pleasanton. And then I did 8 years back east, mostly with the military, with the Marine Corps, Department of Defense, Department of the Navy. And then I came back out here just about 2 years ago, and I've been practicing here in Pleasanton and have found a great home here at Prodigy. And my daughter joined me about a year ago, and we're as happy as a bug in a rug here. It's awesome. So yeah, we're here fixing owies and sending them to Gina Marie and you. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys have listened to the podcast, I had Gina Marie from Spirit Wellness on as well. And so we make a pretty awesome team, the three of us, in terms of chiropractic care and massage and training and things like that. So a question that I often get is, what exactly is chiropractic, right? People know what a chiropractor is, but I think more often than not, they don't really know what exactly it is that you do. So can you explain a little bit about what is chiropractic care? And then maybe, kind of debunk some of the myths that people have about chiropractic care. Okay.
So chiropractic is very, very depending on where you went to school. So our school of thought from Palmer is that I like to look at the body from the very bottom of the feet to the top of the head. The bones are meant to move together, even in the skull. They're meant to shear against each other and move in different articulations in different ways. And when that doesn't happen, it irritates the muscles, it irritates the nerves, and it makes the body feel bad, not just pain-wise, neurologically. There are nerve endings in every joint. One of them reads pain, one of them reads am I moving, and one of them reads where am I in space. And all of those things can be altered if joints have been jammed together and aren't working right. And this can happen by running in a pair of shoes that doesn't have a good arch and your arch collapsing. It can happen when you sprain your ankle or twist your knee or twist your spine in any way. And a chiropractor looks at that whole, a good chiropractor looks at that whole complex and tries to get the bones moving well so that it eliminates that irritation, that it's sending a signal to the brain that it's irritated, so that a person can move better, feel better, and be more athletic, honestly, be more athletic.
Sure, absolutely. So I think one of the fears or myths that, a lot of people have is that, oh, you just crack necks, right? You just crack bones and joints and things like that. What do you say to somebody who has that fear of, for example, I'm obviously being in health and wellness, and it wasn't really until you and Alexa came in that I really started getting regular chiropractic care, right? More from on a maintenance standpoint. And it wasn't that I was against it, but you kind of growing up, you have these kind of stigmas, let's call them stigmas of oh, these guys are they're just there to crack my neck, or, they want me just to buy, 15, $100 or $1,500 worth of packages and things like that. What do you say to that? And how can you help kind of quell some of those fears?
Okay. So, oh boy. When you were growing up, when you were growing up, Andrew, there
Yeah.
was a lawsuit that the American Chiropractic Association had against the American Medical Association. We sued them for antitrust. And basically, they had a campaign called Stamp Out Chiropractic. And so MDs were telling people that chiropractors would break their neck if they adjusted them, stroke them out, and it scared people. And the intent was to keep them, to retain those people as patients and get rid of chiropractors. Well, that didn't work. We survived anyway. We won that lawsuit, by the way. So it's really illegal for them to do that anymore. But in the meantime, you and I mean, even though I'm a lot older than you, it happened when I was a kid too. And there was a lot of bad press out there, and most of it was created in this line of Stamp Out Chiropractic. And so between then and now, though, basically between like 1999 and now, there's been tons of great research done, mostly by Palmer, but other chiropractic colleges too, about chiropractic and what it actually does and how safe it is. And so there's a lot less bad information out there and a lot more good research out there about what it does. And so that's the first thing. And the other thing is that, and I don't want to badmouth anybody, there are different chiropractors from different schools, and many chiropractors feel like they need to see someone 3 times a week for 3 months, and 2 times a week for 3 months, and 1 time a week for the rest of their life, in order that they keep them moving. And I just think that's overkill, period. I think if you treat someone too much, you can create a joint that's too loose and cause an unstable joint. And then, yes, you do need to be adjusted. There's a line though, you do need to get a joint moving again. So it does take some work. Sometimes between 6 and 12 visits to get a joint moving again and get a person to feel better. We see people twice a week for 4 or 6 weeks and notice huge differences in the way their joint moves and how they feel. I don't think that it is a good idea to over adjust people and create a need. So there's that line, right? And in the state of California, by the way, it's not really allowed to take money in advance for care because it implies that you're an insurance company. And if you're an insurance company, you have to have $10 million in the bank. So in the state of California, I don't know about the other states, but in the state of California, we're really not supposed to take money in advance. That being said, there are docs out there who will sell you a package of 12 visits and then get 2 free or something like that. I don't do that because it is my goal to get someone better before that.
Sure.
And deal with their owie better than that. But if someone is selling chiropractic care, I'm going to give you a year of care, and all you have to do is pay me $8,000 up front. Run to the door and run fast, because that is operating as an insurance company and ensuring your health, and that's not a good thing. On the other hand, the 6 to 12 visits thing to make someone feel noticeably, if not hugely better, is a block of time that I feel is reasonable. If that answers your question at all.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But it can be very different for different people. Some people get better in 1 or 2 visits if they're young and fit and mobile and healthy and drink a lot of water and are exercising. On the other hand, as I used to tell my Marines, they'd say, I still have pain. I saw you last week. And I would be like, yeah, I know. I went to the gym once and I'm still fat.
Yeah.
Right. And so it is not a magic bean. It's not a go get adjusted one time, but it's not something you should need to do once a week for the rest of your life. And as a matter of fact, some people should never be adjusted because their body doesn't like it. Right. And other people like to feel better on an ongoing basis, like maintenance, like you like to be adjusted once or twice a month because you feel better, right?
Sure.
So is that a good answer?
No, that's great. Yeah, I know. And I love that, the analogy with the Marines. Yeah, I think because even from a fitness standpoint, right? Like we get that, for example, we just had a prospective client and her husband come in last night, and they asked like, okay, so how quickly how quickly can she lose 30 pounds? And I was like, well, depends.
Wait, did the husband ask this?
Yeah. And I was like,
the husband asked.
Yeah, I was like, well, we gotta talk about that one. My wife would,
Right.
kill me.
Not
but,
good.
We're not a magic pill, and we're not offering magic pills, right? And it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's about building that consistent thing. And I think that's really what I appreciate about you and Alexa is that you're talking about consistent care, right? But also at the same time, you're also talking about the other aspects of health and fitness that play into it, right? And you're saying like, hey, yes, I'm a chiropractor. Yes, we're good at what we do, but we're not magicians. And if you're not taking care of your body and doing the other things, right, what we're doing isn't necessarily going to fix. You're going to continue to still be in pain. And I think for us as well, right, like if you're not doing the other things outside of the gym, you're not, you're going to end up frustrated.
Right.
So with that being said, like how does chiropractic fit into kind of a well-rounded, we'll call it a well-rounded kind of health and wellness kind of approach? Maybe for somebody who is, let's say, an avid athlete or ex-athlete who is still pretty active, they hike, they run, they do all that other stuff. And then for somebody who may be new to fitness, new to chiropractic, new to just, maybe they're in pain or they're dysfunctional, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but they're so used to it that they don't feel pain anymore, right? Like they're like, oh, my body's used to it now. But so how does chiropractic care fit for both of those kind of demographics, we'll call them?
Right. Okay. So the first thing is I think that people who are in pain for a long time don't notice it anymore. It's like being in an outhouse and your cranial nerve 1 gives up. And it doesn't smell like poop there anymore. And you forget that it stinks in there and you go outside and you get fresh air again. But in the meantime, you were in there for 5 minutes and it stopped stinking after 3. And that's what I tell people, if they've been hurting for a while, their body just kind of gets used to it. I think the big thing for us here, the 3 practices, Alexa and me and you and Gina Marie, is that if the bone is not moving correctly, it affects the nerve and the muscle.
Right.
And Gina Marie can strip out the muscle, and that's great to soften the muscle. I get the bones moving again, and you can work on postural correction by proper exercise. If any of those things are missed, you can exercise until the cows come home, but the muscle imbalance of posterior chain versus anterior chain strength will alter their performance. They won't be able to run as fast. They won't be able to lift as much. They won't feel as good. They might have headaches or something if we miss any of those 3 things. So they're so interconnected that now that we're here, I can't even imagine not working in such a situation now, right?
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
So yeah, they're so interconnected. So that's my answer. That's my story. And I'm sticking.
That's awesome.
Right?
So what, so, we're towards the, kind of the tail end when this is recorded, kind of hopefully the tail end of this pandemic, hopefully we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. What has been some of the biggest things that you have seen from a chiropractic standpoint that people are dealing with because of the pandemic? Like what, have you seen a rise in certain, we'll call them types of clients because of the pandemic?
Yeah, buddy, you should ask. Yes, we get a lot of what I call Technic. These people sit at their computers all day, every day at a workstation that's not designed for that. They sit on their sofa with their head propped up and they're working on a computer, and they get this pain in the base of their neck, and their muscles in the front shorten, and they're at the bottom of their shoulder blades, you know what this is, but I'm just describing, becomes weak. And they get really hunched over and they start having neck pain and headaches and grinding and posterior chain weakness. And I have never seen anything like this. The pandemic multiplied the Technic people that I saw by 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And it's wonderful because I can teach them to do some stretching stuff, but I can teach them to come to you for strengthening, to strengthen that posterior chain. I can send them to Gina Marie to get the soft tissue work done. and then we can work on adjusting them to open up the chest and work with the spine to get it moving again. But I've never seen anything like it. And here's the scary part about the pandemic is that I first started seeing it more last January, February, March. And I came to realize that this is also a symptom of COVID, of the headaches and base of neck pain, that flu type feeling that you get like right here.
Yeah.
And honestly, it really spooked me. It really spooked me when I figured it out at the beginning of the pandemic. If you remember, I was really freaked out about the pandemic. And we know more about it now, and I know how to protect us and people from it, but it became obvious to me that this kind of pain was not just ergonomics, that it could be a symptom of COVID for people. And so it's been a transformation in the way I look at both things, you know, the pandemic and COVID. And dealing with it has been interesting. My practice has become very busy with that, and part of that's your fault, and part of that's Gina Marie's fault, and part of it is a group of very loyal referrers that we all know, we both know.
Yeah.
So anyway, did I answer your question?
No. I was absolutely just kind of like what, you know, because I think I was having this conversation with Gina Marie when we had her on the podcast about how, you know, you don't realize, you know, or at least we went into the pandemic, right, initially thinking like, okay, this is going to be a couple of weeks, right? You know, right. I can work in my office, I can work on my couch for a couple of weeks, right, hunched over and whatever.
Right.
And then not realizing it, a year later, we're still doing the exact same thing. And going back to the point of, you know, it's our body's gotten used to it, right? Our body got used to just sitting like that. And all of a sudden, like we go to stand up and we're like, oh, like that doesn't feel right anymore because I'm all crunched up now, right? So, so no, definitely. I think a lot of people are dealing with that, right? So hopefully somebody who's listening to this is going, oh wait, hey, that's me, right? Like I've got that neck pain. I've got, you know, I've been sitting on my couch, you know, for the last year trying to work and you know, so speaking of that, if somebody is listening to this and they're saying, hey, you know what, I've been looking for a chiropractor, or I've heard about it, but I've never really seen one. Like, what is the best way that somebody can get a hold of you guys? You know, if you're watching the YouTube video, obviously you're seeing Dr. Jen's background here, right? And it's got Milus Chiropractic and it's got the phone number there. But for people who are listening, how can people learn more about Milus Chiropractic?
Well, two things. Our website, miluschiropractic.com, there's actually suggestions about products that we use to help people feel better on there. And there's a part about ergonomics, which actually is very simple, and you can use it to reset your workstation and get off the sofa. And it also, there's a lot of information on my professional Facebook page, which is just Dr. Jen Milus. There's a ton of videos about self-help stuff that I actually published during the quarantine because I was so bored. I needed some way to help people, even if I couldn't get my hands on them, you know. Right. Yeah, just miluschiropractic.com and Dr. Jen Milus on Facebook.
Perfect.
And we're around 7 days a week, so there's no excuses.
Right.
So
absolutely. Perfect. So I want to wrap this up. I want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you coming on. But I do have a question. It's kind of a question that I always ask our guests, kind of the last question. Since this is kind of a health and wellness related podcast, and we're hoping that some busy adults in the Tri-Valley who might be listening to this can take some actionable tips with them kind of from this podcast. So somebody who's obviously a health and wellness professional, but also has kind of that fitness, you know, strength coach background a little bit with the CSCS, things like that. If somebody said, hey, Dr. Jen, I want to get fit, right? Like I'm tired of feeling the way that I feel. I'm tired of being in pain. I'm tired of just not feeling my best. What are maybe 2 to 3 pieces of advice that you would give them to kind of get started on their journey, whether it's with chiropractic or fitness or a combination? What would those 2 to 3 things be?
I would say eat raw organic vegetables, fish, some fruit, as much whole food as you can. Lift weights. I started lifting weights when I was 12 years old. I will never stop, even if they get lighter. Lift weights. get with a professional who can teach you how to lift weights. And then in addition to those two things, get adjusted or at least get checked to see if you need to be, and get massage. But without the first two, you're just going to go downhill throughout your life. And yeah, I mean, you can do cardio, but you can also get cardio by doing weights. So I think lifting weights is the biggest favor I've ever done myself, because I do not want osteoporosis and I don't want type 2 diabetes, period. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's that second point there is actually one that we talked about, but maybe about 4 weeks ago. We were just kind of chit-chatting at the office and talking about it. And I think that's a big one that people don't think about, right? Is lifting weights actually helps your body's kind of uptake insulin, right? Or body uptake glucose, right? So
right.
and so it's for somebody who is struggling with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic, right? Lifting weights is actually something that can be really beneficial for them.
Yeah. Don't skip it. Nothing else substitutes for it. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. And you know, I know it's been long overdue. We've been talking about getting you on the podcast, you know, a while ago, but I'm glad we're able to finally get it happening. So I appreciate your time. So remember, check out miluschiropractic.com or Dr. Jen Milus on Facebook if you guys want to learn more information about Dr. Jen and Dr. Alexa. And I will we'll wrap it up there. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for inviting. Have a great day. Okay.